The dangers of self-styled wisdom and healing spaces. Let's talk about it. Peace, peace, peace. What's poppin', peoples? It's your boy, Sincere Seven, coming to you live and direct from the Psychonaut Academy of Detroit. The Pad, representing the House of Genesis. Feeling good, as y'all see, looking good. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm sounding good as usual. But I got something I want to talk about today. Y'all know how I do. I be trying to sometimes I'll be just in here kicking it. You know what I'm saying? I be what's that? The ginger, John? The ginger, lemon ginger? Yeah, let's try that today. Sometimes I'll be in here kicking it, you know what I'm saying? Just getting my shit off, my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. But in other times, you know, I come into these spaces to be a teacher, right? To give information, right? To hold accountability for all of us, to bring about regulations for all of us, right? All of these types of things. And so something I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the dangers of self-styled wisdom in these healing spaces. Can we talk about that for a minute? Right? And just the seriousness and but also the understanding. So I want to talk about a few things. This isn't a let's come on and say, hey, you're fucked up for doing this and stop doing this. No. Let's really approach this from what's happening in our community. Okay. Because I mean, I think it's quite clear that in this day and time, teachers are very important. People who have the knowledge, wisdom, and the information that other people need. Thank you. And so what I'm seeing over the last 5 years is a big boom of people who want to be the people teaching, who want to be the people on stage, who want to be the people who are getting all of the hits and all of the shares, right? They want to be the leaders in their fields, right? They want to be the go-to individuals with the information. Now, let me be very clear. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But what we have is we have a lack of education and verification in our community. And let me be very clear. For those who don't know, when I say in our community, I'm speaking about the Black community. This is something that I find to be an issue more in the, what is this new term? BIPOC. Yeah. More in the BIPOC communities than the non-BIPOC communities. Wait. Okay. Thank you. And so I have to speak specifically to that. In our communities, we have a big problem with this. Now, Seven, what the fuck is self-styled wisdom? You're going to get on here saying we're talking about self-styled wisdom in healer spaces. What is self-styled wisdom? Got to understand that first. All right. So, first of all, what is wisdom? Wisdom is a reflection of knowledge. You sound like one of them 5%ers. I am. All right. Wisdom is a reflection of knowledge. Knowledge is the foundation. Right? So if you want to do anything in the world, you first have to know about it. You have to know about it. That's knowledge, right? You read up on it, you study it, you are informed about it. However you get the knowledge, it's knowledge that you're getting. It's teachings, okay? Once you receive those teachings, then you start to, how do we say, replicate those teachings. Y'all follow what I'm saying by that? So it's like, hey, I'm learning this and I'm taking this information in. Now I'm going to start to either send it back out or in the form of actions or words. So if I learned something that I didn't know, now the next time I'm talking about it, I can reflect that knowledge, a reflection of knowledge. Or if somebody says, hey, can you fix this? And I didn't know how to fix it before, but that I did the knowledge and now I do, I'll be like, yeah, watch out. Boom. And I go into actions. So wisdom is a reflection of knowledge through words and actions. All right. So when you sitting with the old heads, you be like, man, they got some wisdom for you. Yeah, they've been through a lot. They've gained a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas, and now they're giving it back to you in the form of wisdom, right? Or they're showing you by what they do, how they live, how they move. This is wisdom, okay? So, in the terms that I'm speaking of now, we're speaking of mostly words. Let me be very clear. Self-styled wisdom. So that means that people have went and learned things, and now they're bringing them and showing their wisdom, which is a reflection of. All right, let's pause on that. So what's self-styled wisdom? Self-styled wisdom is when people's knowledge is not fully founded in actual facts, and so they have to fill in the rest of what they don't know. They're thinking. See, when you know, you respond. And okay, what is the carbon? No, what is the atomic number of carbon? Right? I say 6. What is the atomic number of oxygen? 8. Right? I know, so I respond. That's wisdom, right? That's wisdom. But if I'm using self-styled wisdom, I might say something like, yo, shorty, shit, she about the size of my girl, man. My girl weigh about $150, so she got to be about 145 to 155. This is his wisdom. He doesn't know, but he's using the things that he does know and filling the rest of it in with his theories, his hypothesis, or the way that he's showing you his work. This is the number I came to. I don't have enough information in the problem to give you an answer, but here's my self-styled wisdom based off of what I do know. Hey, everybody with me so far? Ricky, you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with that being said, self-styled wisdom is a response. Yo, Milkman, I see you, baby. That's based off of partial knowledge. So let's get back to it. So when we talk about the self-styled wisdom being shared in healing spaces, here you go, and the dangers of it. For those of y'all who are familiar with me, y'all know that I come from the psychedelic community. When I was on National Geographic, it was because of my works in psychedelics. When I was on the front page of the paper, it was because of my works in psychedelics. And when I traveled and did, well, no, that was for animal medicines. But a lot of the recognition I've gotten, it's been from the psychedelic works that I've done, right? Now, in the psychedelic community, things like proof and facts and validation, those words are not used a lot, right? There's not proof and validation in the psychedelic and or spiritual realms. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is even with trauma, your truth is your truth. Another person will say what you went through wasn't even that deep, wasn't even that bad. I've been through it twice. But to you, it was traumatic. So things like proof is not needed, right? So when people come and they explain to you these psychedelic trips they had and what happened in them and what they experienced, there's never a call or a need for proof. Okay, here we go. So what has happened is, from what I've noticed, the majority of individuals who open up those realms, right, go into these psychedelic realms, learn to start going in doing spiritual work and internal work in those realms, they also usually start to follow a path of eating right. It's like a character growth and development. It's like once they come out the matrix and they understand that all things are false, they start to do away with all of these false things and start to desire actual things based in reality, foods based in reality, clothes based in reality, teachings based in reality, as well as healthcare based in reality. A lot of people right now, their healthcare is taught to them by the Western world, and they're not even really understanding that every pharmaceutical that you might get from these people are created in the lab, and it has adverse reactions to your physical body. Okay. And it's like, that's just that, because it's created in the lab. It's going to be that. And so they have people thinking that this is their main source of medicine, not knowing that alternative medicine was the first. It's the natural, it's the organic, it's the one that they can use and it not affect their body in a negative way, right? So when they come out the matrix and they start to realize reality, they realize these medicines are not reality based either. So they start going into natural plants, natural medicines, organic things, all of this, right? Okay. So now we have individuals from the psychedelic community coming over and starting to operate within healthy eating and right, these not just healthy eating, but conscious states of awareness, your clothes, your food, your entertainment, the things you listen to, right? Okay. So then a lot of those individuals also want to practice in those realms. Like, for instance, me. I came from the psychedelic. Well, now, to be honest, I was in the health and wellness realms and was brought into the psychedelic realms and came back. So for me, it was a little different because I started out there. I used to teach my community how to eat, the science of food, all of these different things. I've been dealing with that far before I was the psychedelics. So for me, I came from there, came into the psychedelic, made a name for myself. And in 2020, when I seen what was light worker, what's going on, brother? I see you. When I seen what was going on in the psychedelic community in America, I kind of just pulled back. I seen what was going on and I just didn't want to be part of it. And I started focusing heavily in the alternative healthcare community, which, because of who I am with the snake venom, teaching the healing with the kingdoms, you know what I'm saying? All of the National Geographic, all of that. It was like, it wasn't a hard veer for me to jump right back into what I do because I already have these clientels and, you know, I already have my people. It's like, I'm not trying to build something, right? So it's a little different, but this is where I'm coming from. So coming back into the alternative healthcare and going real hard at that. Now I'm moving, speaking and talking with a lot of other different healthcare practitioners. I'm one of them people that if you come to me as a client and you're dealing with me and we reach a point that I wouldn't say mastered in, but I don't have to a level of, I got this, then I'm going to send you. So for instance, a lot of people think I'm an herbalist. I'm not an herbalist, y'all. Yeah, I study herbs. I know herbs. I'll be telling you herbs and stuff, but I'm not an herbalist. I haven't been through the entire everything, right? So when I'm dealing with a client who has an ailment, an illness, a disease, anything like that, when I give them their journey or their blueprint of what should be done, and I give them the knowledge on the fungi kingdom, what mushrooms they need, and I give them the knowledge on the animal kingdom and whether they need snake venom or cannibal or scorpion venom, I send them to a herbalists. I send them to Mama Tashima, aka Mashi. I send them to more herbs. I send them to, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not my lane. Okay. All right. So with that being said, what I'm saying is some people come out of the psychedelic realms into the alternative health practitioner realms. And when they do, okay, here we go. The studies have not been the foundation to what they're doing, right? I've been studying these things for 25 years. So the studies are already founded where I could stop, go do something else, come back and start doing this because I already have a foundation. But if you've been dealing with mushrooms and ayahuasca and things like this, you never had any education of the physical body. And now you say, I want to be a healer because of how these mushrooms affected me. I want to be a healer because of how the snake venom affected me so quickly and how great it was. I want to be a healer. You don't just jump and start doing a modality and understand, because I understood the aspects of healing the body before I got snake venom. I understood the aspects of healing the body before I got Cambo, before, right? So now this is where I'm coming into. So a lot of people will jump from one thing into healing And instead of studying the foundation and the basis for all of these things that need to be known to be a successful alternative healthcare practitioner, they will take what they've been told and repeat it and then add whatever they do, right? And this is where the issue comes in, because a lot of the stuff that we've been told, especially in our community, is not right, okay? We have had a history of being killed, being experimented on, being injected with things from the government and the medical system. So it's like, as Black people, we don't trust them. What? Man, the hospital, man, they ain't trying to do them to kill you. What? The medicines, man, they ain't trying to do them to kill you. What? That's how we feel. And for good reason, because that's what we have experienced time and time again in our history with dealing with Western medicine, the government, blah, blah, blah. So that means that now, as Black people, when we come into healing spaces, we are avoiding white coats. We're avoiding listening to any doctors. We're avoiding any of their knowledge. We're avoiding their education. Wait a minute. The foundation for every healer's alternative healthcare body healing operating practitioner should be how the human body works. It should be anatomy. It should be physiology. Because let me just say, in the psychedelic spaces, these things are based off spirit. When you're dealing with the spiritual realm, there is no space and time continuum. Therefore, there's no order. There's none of that exists in those realms. That is a different realm. But when we're talking about healing the physical human body, organic matter, lipids, carbohydrates, nuclear and DNA, and like, this is a order. There was an order to how cells work. There was an order to how organs work. There was an order to the body, okay? And there's an order to how plants and animals and things break down in our bodies. There's an order to it, right? And so what I'm saying is that a lot of things that are being said in these healing spaces by these practitioners are self-styled wisdom. They're not based in full understanding of knowledge. And that can become dangerous. Now, I'm not gonna say no names, but the other day I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm like, wow, this post talks about two subjects that I close to my heart. One, the body and anatomy, and two, poly. Wow, wait a minute. It said that she said there is a hormone. Was it a hormone? Well, hold on. I want to tell you right. In the body that causes men to be monogamous. And when your man is not trying to get you and keep you and is operating on a I want to go find, or I want to move, or makes, or is sexually trying to, that means he lacks this hormone. And I was like, wait a minute, what are we talking about? So a lot of people are talking about oxytocin. It's like, oh no. And it was vasoprene, something like that. And it's a hormone in the male's body that causes him to want to mate, causes him to want to bond, causes him to, right? And I'm saying, okay, oh, I see what she's talking about. Because when I seen it, my first response was jump on her page and be like, yo, stop with the, because at the end, she was saying that, so if your man is showing these signs, you can get this tea from her. And she can increase his desire to be monogamous.
With a cup of tea?
Yeah, because it's going to increase. Yeah, well, right. But see, this is what I'm saying. So I'm about to jump on and be like, come on, y'all, stop it with this shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll just say anything to sell some shit. Yo, Sean proved that. You know how I am. Like, but I've been realizing people think I'm aggressive lately. So I'm like, okay, let me go about this a different way. But matter of fact, I'm a teacher. Let me go about it from a teacher's way. Like, she's in my class. So I went on her page and I said, yo, can you name that hormone? And so she named it. And when And so when I looked to see what she was talking about, I'm like, okay, now I get it. Now, this is where the self-style wisdom came in. She was saying that because the hormone causes she said that when the man is trying to get to you, right? I'm trying to get you, and you playing hard to get, it's increasing that. So we like that. But once you give in and now I'm with you, it makes me want to bond with you. Okay? But she said that's why it's a monogamous increasing. And I'm like, no, that hormone works the same when I see another, as a poly man, if I see a woman and I'm attracted, I'm this and that, I'm gonna engage her, I'm gonna see where her brain at. And if I like where her mind is at, then I'm on that same thing. It doesn't break the bond that me and you have. It don't change that. It doesn't mean that I have a lack of that hormone because it's still active. I want to do the same thing because of how I'm seeing this one. And so it was like, I didn't even bother trying to, go back and forth. I can just drop a little something and then I let it go. And then a lot of other people started jumping in the post, responding to it. But the point that I'm getting at is this. She said something that other people were aware of. She said something that people could see and go, wait a minute, what is she talking about? That's not how that works. And we said something to her. But see, the problem is that all of us who are in this community, who call ourselves practitioners, we're not talking to each other. We're talking to our clients. So anybody who came and sat with her is not having all of us around when this conversation takes place. It's her and the person who does not know and is coming to this person, right, for guidance in what they're going through. And this is my issue that I have with what goes on in these fields with people being unchecked. There's people who are in this community right now operating that 2 or 3 years ago came to me and was asked, no, it was about 4 years ago, was asking me how to do what they're doing right now. And I was like, how are you doing it? And they told me, and I'm like, oh, absolutely not. Oh my goodness, have you harmed anybody yet? Because if you keep going like that, you will. Yeah. And this person now does not fuck with me and they continue to operate out here. Now, nobody knows what they're doing is harmful because there's no regulation. Nobody's, and that's what I'm talking about is people will give they self-style wisdom. They will hear this does this, that, and the other. This does this. And they'll be like, oh, if that do that, I'm gonna mix it with this, I'm gonna put it with this, and I'm gonna put it in this and give it to everybody. But they didn't know that it also, like Iboga. Let's take that for example. I myself, listen, people can do what they want. I myself feel some type of way about the amount of people that I'm seeing in the community serving Iboga. That's not our medicine. Now I do know there's a couple people who went to Gabon, have trained and done their thing, and I ain't got nothing to say about them. They've been blessed to do that. But I also know that there's individuals who have not even been in the psychedelic realms over 5 years, literally not even here in these realms, working in these spaces since 2020. You ain't been working in these spaces since 2020, but now you're working with Iboga. I had an individual when I was allowing people to work with Iboga on microdosing, because the only way I've ever allowed people to work with it was under microdosing containers, because that's what I was blessed and said that could do, right? So somebody came and they got a small amount of Iboga. And they came back and they received another small amount. And this person came to me and on the third time asked me for 10 grams of Iboga. Wait, what? The fuck is you talking about? What are you planning to do with 10 grams of Iboga? And he said, I'm going to do a flood dose. Because you know how we do mushrooms, like, we'll do 7 grams, then we'll do 9, and then we'll do 15. So I'm like, well, shit, I feel like I'm called to work with this medicine. So I'm going to do like, 7 grams. And then on the next one, I'm going to do like 10 grams. And I said, my mans. No, you're not. What? Wait, what? I said, man, do you know that Iboga will kill you? He says, Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, man. Like, you know, because when I went through that with the mushrooms, I said, no, 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 no. No, my mans. No, I mean, like, we gonna put you in a suit, put you in a box. Your mama gonna stand over you and say some things. They gonna throw dirt on you, and then everybody gonna go eat chicken that's shaped like this afterward. Right? Why after the funerals, they always go eat the chicken, all the chicken, like, but anyway, shout out to Aaliyah. Yo, so I know I'm ignorant, y'all. So what I'm saying, he was like, oh, you mean like physically, like I died? I said, yeah. He ain't know that. Yeah, I know you didn't know that because you ain't trained in this. You don't know this. And so this is what we have is we have a lot of people that are fulfilling spaces that they're not trained in, that they don't know. And they're repeating things that they heard other people say. And they don't have the ability to explain their self-styled wisdom. Let me tell y'all who is a very, 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 very large self-styled wisdom user, Dr. Sebi. And a lot of y'all have took his self-styled wisdom and are now speaking on it like it's science. Like it's science. Have any of, like, come on, have you planted? So this be my thing. When people be saying the things or repeating the things, I just like now I'm gonna start asking them questions like, have you ever grown fruits or vegetables? Have you ever grown cannabis? Have you ever grown plants? I don't know if y'all can see in around me, but there's plants all around me. It's plants up under me in the basement. It's plants like I started my whole what? Hold on. 3 wives, 7 children. Well, at the time, 5 children. Everything I got from growing herb. Everybody know that. Right? So when I'm hearing certain things like anything that don't got seeds in it is a hybrid, I'm going, wait a minute, what? Why would you say that? That's not true. That's not how that works. You know what I'm saying? Things that don't have seeds in it don't have nutritional value in it. Wait, what? You mean to tell me that there's people who have not been eating grapes for 2 years because they can't find none with no seeds in it? Because somebody told you that there's no nutritional value in the grape that don't got no seed. And you just ran to believe that shit. So you ain't been eating grapes because they say seedless. Now, is the seeded grapes have more things in it? Of course. The seeds of fruits and vegetables have certain compounds in them themselves. So I can say that a seeded grape don't have the compounds in the grape that are in the seeded grape, right? Apples, seeds have cyanide in them. Not the apple, it's in the seed, right? Okay, so when I grow cannabis plants, there's male and female, dioecious, right? And they're either one or the other. So when I want the female to not be pollinated, I get all the males out. Some plants have male and female parts on them, right? So they can pollinate themselves. So it's a lot of different ways that these things come about. But selective genetic breeding is how you solidify these traits. So you can have something growing, and okay, that's like saying a woman who can't have children is not a real woman. No, that's not the case. There's just something different about her genetics that don't give her the ability to what? Have children. So watch this. Now, when we talk about cloning, which you can do in plants, we can take that very genetic trait, right? And I can copy it and grow more plants that's just like that one. So if I got all of these crops and this one has this trait, like albinoism, right? When we talk about mushrooms and growing mushrooms, this is what's happening there. So this is the same type of thing, y'all. And you can change the way plants grow by changing the light structure. You know what I'm saying? By changing the food you feed it. There's a lot of different ways to change the ways that plants grow. And when you lock that in, right, now you have something like a broccoli, right? It's a different form of. So to be speaking as if some mad scientist was in a lab creating all this crazy stuff and these are what came from it. And if you eat it, there's going to be some type of biological disposition that it's false. As well as, oh, that's a hybrid, so don't eat it because it don't have no nutritional value. Stop it. That's totally bullshit. So you telling me a carrot don't have no potassium in it because it's a hybrid? Really? My worms disagree. My worms disagree. Because when I put those scraps in my worm casting bin, my worms eat them. And then my worms shit it back out. And when I take their shit and I put it in my cannabis plant, it gives my plant potassium. Where'd the potassium come from? You understand what I'm saying? So now, is it true that some of these things are not as it could be? But that comes from the soil, right? Monocropping has been something been going on for the last 30, 40 years like crazy. So we'll be more comfortable eating a non-hybrid vegetable from a monocropped garden than we would a hybrid vegetable from a private garden. Or what do they call them? Responsibly harvest or responsibly. So what it is you can deplete the soil, but some vegetables and fruits actually give back certain things like nitrogen, phosphorus, and stuff. So what you do is you rotate your crops. So if you have 100 acres and you doing 25, you got a ranch with bulls, you doing 25 acres and you growing potatoes and corns, you got 25 acres of herbs and all of this, you got 25 acres of goddamn wildflowers. All right, next year, you move all of that shit. You move that there, you move that there, you move that there. And if you do that every couple years, every 5 to 6 years, because it's not every year, it's really like every 3 to 5, 6, 7, depending on what you have, you keep the soil balanced. But if you grow corn on this soil for 20 years straight, like a lot of these corn producers been doing, there's no nutritional value in the soil. Therefore, they're force feeding the vegetables. So what's really more healthy? So we really need to start to study and have a foundation and know what we're talking about and be more responsible with the things that we say to our client. That's all I'm saying by the self-styled wisdom. Self-styled wisdom is cool when you're doing something like a lecture and you talking to a certain people that can understand where you're coming from. And you like, all right, for instance, if I was to say, it's like this, and you could say something like that. For instance, if I was to say like foods is electrical, you know what I'm saying? And this is but this lacks the electricity in it. You could say that to give an understanding for whatever reason you're trying to get the people to believe that isn't true. But if that you said that like that, that would be an example. But this is not something to go and teach and to repeat, especially when it comes to telling people what things will do to or in their body. There's a lot of people that's out here telling people how you telling somebody this tea will make your man more monogamous. If that's why the FDA be on y'all head. That's why they say if y'all make a claim, we locking y'all ass up. All these black people out here, oh, if it ain't FDA, you know what I'm saying? Because they hate us and because we ain't got no money and because they just trying to keep us down and keep us sick so they won't let us say what shit really do. No, that's not why they saying no, because people's out here saying this herb will cure this disease. It won't. There's no proof. I'm even saying there's no proof that any herb on this planet that will heal cancer or even heal the ailment that they call cancer. I don't know of one. Well, I heard soursop will support your body and immune system in that battle. See how that's two different things. Because when you say something to cure something, shit, I don't need shit else then. So as soon as you say this will do this, then I don't need nothing else. This will do it. That's what you said. And you trying to sound like them. Because when they say this will do it, that's because their medicine forces. Their medicine is built off of force. Everything in the U.S. is built off of force. We're going to force everything. We're going to force everything. We're going to force your healing. We're going to force motherfuckers to come over here. We're going to force them to work for hundreds of years. We're going to force everything. That's what they do. It's powerful. It's a force to be reckoned with. But force is that first internal combustion. After force, there's nothing left. Rocket boosters. There's a force, and then that's the rocket boosters, and then those break off, and then the power carries them on. This country is just about force. That's it. So once that burns out, there's nothing left. Our bodies and alternative healthcare does not work with force. It works with harmony. These things work in harmony with the body. These things provide electrical energy through the electrons Yeah, the electrons, which all cells have. Wait, what are we talking about? Don't worry about it. That's for the people who know what I'm talking about with the science. All right. These things work in our bodies. Certain things will support certain things, mitochondria, DNA, proteins, peptides, amino acids. Some things will help to catalyze destruction or break things down. Enzymes, right? Right. So hydrolysis and what's the other word? Dehydration, adding water and taking water away. That in itself will change what's going on in the body, what's going on in the cells, right? So when we're saying a lot of this stuff that, oh, this will do this and this will do that, it's false. It's false. No, it won't. Now, can it increase the amount of this? And if you increase the amount of this in turn will support this happening. And we need that to happen in high rates. And while that's happening, we're also going to use this while that's going to take this down. There is multiple things happening simultaneously within the body. And I invite anybody out there who calls themselves an alternative healthcare practitioner to educate ourselves in the foundations of those systems, how they work, how these cells work, how these hormones work, so that when we create our self-styled wisdom, it's rooted and based in education and knowledge, not just what we heard. We got to stop parakeeting out here, y'all. It is over for that. And I'm seeing this shit about people talking about, oh, the doctors of tomorrow are using ChatGPT, so you better start getting your health or something. Like, let's stop with the whole I'm gonna diss ChatGPT. Because what you have is a system that has the ability to look at multiple sources of information. When I was coming up, we had the Dewey Decimal System, and I had to look up each book one by one, and I had to find the book. And there was a way to use the Dewey Decimal System. Then came out this thing called the internet, where I don't have to literally go and find the actual book. I can look up the subject and it'll give me multiple books that I can buy, that I can get. Well, now we're at the stage to where you don't even, now me, I'm a book person. Like, if y'all know, like, his books are all the way always around me. It's always a few libraries, a couple of them or whatever, right? So for me, I like that. But nowadays, when you're studying something, we know a good teacher outweighs a ton of books. I don't know if you ever heard that. A good teacher outweighs a ton of books, right? So what we have is we have access to a source that can look up multiple sources of information all at the same time. If you are worried about somebody who uses ChatGPT, oh, well, don't talk to me then, because I'll go on, I'll do some research. Can you give me 5 sources of information that support that, blah, 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 blah? Yeah, I can give you this publication, this book, this article, this. Boom, that was 30 seconds. Fuck is you talking about? Yeah, I'm using it. Yeah, I'm using it. The internet, and in school, this is the confusing part to me. In school, they was like, hey, the doctors in next month is going to start using books. You better be careful. They used to use grandmas. Now they're using books. These people going to school. All right. And then people was using books. And then they go, oh, these people going to be using the internet next. Well, that's because you use it for porn. So you think that if somebody's using the internet, it's lowering their... No, I'm be clear. I don't want... If I was to actually go to a physician, I would not want one who does not believe in using the internet or ChatGPT. Because if all of the information you have is on the books that you've actually opened up with your hands and read, I've opened enough books to know that you don't have enough information to take care of me. It's not what you have, it's what you use. Okay? So stop being scared and letting people scare you away from different forms of... There's a difference of study and research. There's a difference. Okay? So if you studying some shit, you might not want to use ChatGPT. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know nothing about this and you start from beginning, okay, cool. But if you know stuff and you going to verify stuff, going to look at stuff, going to compare stuff, shit, that's a very fast way to get the information that you be needing. But what the point of all of this is let's be more responsible with the information that we give to our peoples. Let's be careful with the self-styled wisdom. Let your self-styled wisdom be rooted in actual knowledge. If you know what you're talking about, you know how it works, you know the mechanisms, then you can make self-styled wisdom quotes and use them. But be ready to explain, because we're responsible for the information that we give to our clients and the public. And that's all I want us to be aware, is be aware and be responsible. And with that, as always, tell somebody you love them in the language that they can understand it in. Peace.